Welcome back to CMMC Unlocked, everyone. I'm Eric Marquette, joined as always by Ruby Sturt and Paul Natopsky. Today we're diving into something that, honestly, comes up in every single assessment I do: continuous compliance. Or, as we like to call it, keeping your cyber house tidy all year round, not just before the auditors show up.
Yeah, and it's not just about ticking boxes, right? I mean, if you only check your locks when you hear a noise outside, you're probably already too late. Continuous monitoring is like the difference between having a security camera running 24/7 versus just peeking out the window every now and then.
Exactly, Ruby. Continuous monitoring is foundational for both compliance and actual security posture. The threat landscape changes daily. If you're not watching in real time, you're missing the point of CMMC. Tools like CIEMs, Security Information and Event Management Systems, are essential. They aggregate logs, flag anomalies, and help you respond quickly to incidents.
And, I had a client, a media company actually, who thought CMMC was just for defense contractors. But they started handling some DoD training content, and suddenly they had to get serious about monitoring. They went from, oh, we'll just do a yearly review, to, wait, we need real-time alerts and dashboards. It was a bit of a wake-up call. But once they got their monitoring in place, they actually caught a phishing attempt before it did any damage. So it's not just compliance for compliance's sake, it's real protection.
And that's the thing, right? The tools aren't just for show, they're your early warning system. If you're not using them, you're basically flying blind.
Let's build on that. Continuous monitoring is only as good as the defenses you have in place. Layered security is the name of the game. Firewalls, intrusion detection systems, endpoint protection. Each layer buys you time and visibility, and automation is your friend here. Automating compliance checks and patch management reduces human error and keeps you ahead of vulnerabilities.
Oh, absolutely. I remember this one training session. Picture this. Half the staff had no idea what a patch even was. Someone thought it was like a literal patch you sew onto your jacket. Anyway, we ran a simulation where we skipped a critical patch, and within minutes, chaos. Fake ransomware everywhere, people panicking, someone tried to unplug the server. Classic. But it drove the point home. If you don't patch, you're basically leaving the door wide open.
That's a great example, Ruby. And it's not just about patching either. Automating those checks means you're not relying on someone to remember every Tuesday. The system just does it. And if something fails, you get an alert, not a nasty surprise 6 months later.
Right. And as we discussed in our first episode, automation isn't just a nice to have. For small businesses especially, it's the only way to keep up without burning out your team. The more you can automate, the more you can focus on actual threats instead of paperwork.
So let's talk about the paperwork. Well, the digital kind. Documentation, audit trails, logs. It's not glamorous, but it's what saves you when the auditors come knocking. Or worse, when there's an incident.
Absolutely. I had a case with a defense contractor, surprise audit, everyone's heart rate through the roof. But because they'd kept meticulous logs and documentation, we could show exactly what happened, when and how we responded. That level of detail turned what could have been a disaster into a non-event. The auditors were actually impressed. It's not just about passing the audit, it's about being able to improve your processes over time.
And it's not just for the big guys either. Even small teams need to keep those records. If you don't know what happened, you can't fix it or prove you fixed it. Plus, it makes risk assessments and incident response so much easier. You're not scrambling for answers. You've got the receipts.
Exactly. And as we touched on in our last episode about CUI and data rights, having clear documentation helps you manage scope and avoid costly mistakes. It's all connected.
All right, so you've got your tools, your layers, your logs. Now what? If your team isn't trained, it all falls apart. Continuous training is key. Cyber threats evolve, and so do CMMC requirements. You can't just do a one-off training and call it a day.
That's right. You need a culture where security is part of daily operations, not just a checklist. Integrate compliance into team meetings, communications, even onboarding. And don't forget to run incident response drills. Simulate real scenarios. See how your team reacts, find the gaps, and improve. It's like fire drills, but for your network.
And honestly, people remember stories and hands-on exercises way more than a PowerPoint. If you can make it real, like Ruby's patching chaos story, it sticks. Plus, it gets people talking about security. which is half the battle.
Yeah, and if you can laugh about it, even better. But seriously, regular training and open communication make compliance feel less like a chore and more like a team sport.
Let's wrap up with where things are headed. Automation and AI. These aren't just buzzwords. Automation tools and AI-driven analytics are changing the game for real-time monitoring and threat detection. They can spot patterns humans might miss and flag issues before they become breaches.
And it's not just about detection either. Automated workflows for compliance reporting and remediation mean you spend less time on manual tasks and more time on actual security. The accuracy goes up, the headaches go down.
Plus, with machine learning, you can start predicting where the next attack might come from based on your own data. It's like having a weather forecast for cyber threats. You're not just reacting, you're getting ahead of the storm.
Exactly. And as the tools mature, even smaller organizations can leverage these capabilities. It's about making continuous compliance achievable, not overwhelming. That's the future, proactive, automated, and smarter every year.
Well, that's all we've got for today on continuous compliance in action. Thanks for joining us. Ruby, Paul, always a pleasure. We'll be back soon with more on CMMC and how to keep your organization ready for whatever comes next. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Paul. And thanks to everyone listening. Don't forget to patch your systems and maybe run a drill or two. Catch you next time.
Thanks, team. Stay vigilant, and we'll see you on the next episode of CMMC Unlocked.